The indoraptor was foreshadowed in the previous movie.
Imagine that one, fraction of the size, deadly, intelligent, able to hide from the most advanced military technology. A living weapon unlike anything we've ever seen.
Okay, unlike last time where he stupidly called the Indominus Rex a big raptor, the indoraptor is a big raptor. Though I don't know, calling it a hybrid between Indominus and a velociraptor, isn't it like saying a centaur that's hybrid between a centaur and a horse? I love the indoraptor, or Ripper as some like to call him. While Indominus was like a raging wild animal, Indoraptor is really evil. He has a personality. He toys with his prey and loves to troll them and injects fear in them, watching them crying before he kills them, and I love it!
Now, I'm going to close my eyes and count to 10. It makes the chase more interesting. For me.
The indoraptor, it's the perfect weapon. And it's the most dangerous dinosaur we've had in any other movie.
It's a dinosaur, but it's really a monster.
The indoraptor is not a majestic creature. It's a homicidal maniac.
I do like his design. It's not just a downscaled Indominus, and he has slightly modified features to make him look different enough. Especially that he's modeled with horror movie monsters in mind, but still not monsters looking to look out of place for this universe.
The first time I thought about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I thought about what was my first reaction watching the very first Jurassic Park.
Turn the light off!
And I remember the fear of being in front of a T-Rex. And the suspense of the kitchen scene with the velociraptors. And Colin was wanting to have a bigger sense of suspense in Fallen Kingdom.
The whole movie was building to a Monster in a House movie. And we had a vision of a little girl in her bed with the covers pulled up tight with little kind of starry lights that your kids have in their bedroom.
When this idea of doing this like feral creature came, and make this the villain creature of the story, the monster, the first reference for J.A. was Dracula.
When I was a kid, one scene that provoked nightmares for months was Frank Langella playing Dracula in John Badham's version. And I remember Frank Langella crawling down and sneaking in through the window, upside down. From the moment I read that on the script, the Indoraptor is sneaking in through Macy's window, I thought it was the same idea and I wanted to bring back that fear that I had. That scene is a homage to John Badham and that version of Dracula.
Action.
I love making movies.
He's crawling at the bed! It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, if not my favorite. That simplicity of a scared little child and a vicious dinosaur in a tight, confined space, I think is incredible.
The Indoraptor, obviously, taking elements of dinosaurs we know were real, such as velociraptors, and dinosaurs that were already genetic, such as the Indominus Rex on the last film, and inventing a new dinosaur from scratch was incredibly exciting.
A lot of it came from early animation tests, seeing what looked scary, and then conversations with Jay about trying to find that personality for Indoraptor.
J.A. started to bring references from Nosferatu, very specifically the front teeth and the long claws are definitely referencing the Nosferatu character.
And I know the dumbass critic wants to see real monsters-looking dinosaurs, and while something like the Ultimasaurus looks cool, but only as a toy. Having such bizarre monster like that would not fit Jurassic Park, and the makers were all about it ever since they used the Spinosaurs in Jurassic Park 3.
The Spinosaur was one of my favorite dinosaurs to design because it's huge. It's bigger than a T-Rex. It's got a head of a crocodile basically and this giant fin sail on its back. So the challenge was to make that look real and not monster-like.
I also like to think with the quills and the collar stripe as a throwback to the males of Jurassic Park 3. Though I have to say, I wish it showed more of his status as a flawed clone. It is there with flaked scales across his body, but it's too subtle to notice. Early designs showed more emphasis on the body horror, like this one with his face covered in warts.
To take the indoraptor and look at that as a further genetic experiment is a really exciting possibility. And the idea that this is not necessarily 100% successful, we're seeing degrading of skin or flaking of scales.
But I guess they needed him to look normal to sell as a regular dinosaur. Then again, that didn't stop them from releasing dinosaur toys with battle damage. But when the design doesn't show his ill status, his body language and physical quirks compensate for that.
JA also introduced a very interesting concept, which is that this dinosaur is not a finished product. So there's all sorts of imperfections that were pretty exciting to bring to life. He has all sorts of facial tics.
It was an interesting challenge trying to figure out how to portray involuntary twitches and tics, where the head would sort of twitch in an odd, uncomfortable way, and the shoulders would twitch in sort of a strange way, and just creating this sort of uncomfortableness when you were watching the character on screen.
And will someone give him some cough drops? The indoraptor was also going to have a white sister, but they decided not to, and that's for the best, as it would make him even more of a copy of Indominus. Though if there is a deleted scene I wish they had kept, is this scene where he plays with the human skull and explain why his cage is so dark, which would also foreshadows Wheatley's death.
The first indoraptor scene that was cut from the film had the beast playing with a man's skull inside of its cage, inferring that the animal had already dined on human flesh far before it was released in this movie's second act. Now, the story behind this deleted scene can be found inside of the junior novelization that has been released to accompany the film, but it's also been described by one of Fallen Kingdom's concept artists, who you can find on Instagram as Jama Drabaev. Apparently, there was supposed to be a scene where someone would ask why the indoraptor's cage is dark, and the explanation was going to be that at one point in time, it indeed had a light, but when the light bulb went out, a technician made his way into the cage in order to replace it. That same technician never came out. We were supposed to get a line of dialogue here that told us this was how Eli Mills and the others figured out that it took 3 trank darts to sedate the new indoraptor, which means it would have been used as a little bit of foreshadowing to Wheatley's death, wherein he shoots 2 darts into the animal before it fakes its own defeat.